everybody. Welcome to the Bessemer and Lake Erie and HO scale. I'm Ray Brown, and I thought I'd do a detailed video of how I'm making my coal loads. But you could use this technique for iron ore loads or gravel loads or probably any kind of aggregate in hoppers or gondolas. And these are magnetic remove. So anyway, as you can see, I think they look pretty good, and they drop in and out of the cars. Well, one hand is a little hard. Drop in and out of the cars quite easily. So let's walk through how I'm making these. So I am starting with a 1.5 millimeter basswood wooden form. I'm making these on my laser, but you could probably do it with a good quality table saw or mini table saw. But I have the laser, so I use it. And you can see I make those wooden forms to drop right in. And that makes all the subsequent steps really easy. You don't probably have to use the wooden base, but using the wooden base gives the load a nice solid, seating in the car versus foam. Probably keeps the load from getting beat up over time versus if it was just foam. And makes all our sizing really easy. We're not going to spend a lot of time trying to get that load to fit in there nice like that. The work was already done here. So I'm just using, this is extruded insulation foam. This is actually was 2-inch thick. I ripped it in half with my table saw. These were just scraps from making scenery. So I'm going to take this. Might be a little bit hard to do here with one hand, but we'll try. And I am just going to use wood glue. And I'm going to give a pretty liberal amount. And I'm watching storm chasers in the background. That's kind of my springtime. Obviously, this is very easy when you have both hands available. Really important to get right out of the corners, since our foam is going to get pretty thin out of the corners. And I just take that, we're going to put that there on the foam, and then we're just going to weight it down good. I've got my toolmaker square there. Drop a comment if you know what a toolmaker square is for, or how you might use it. Very few people that know. It has used its actual purpose many times in life before it just became weights for gluing train parts. Anyway, we will let that sit for a good few hours, and we'll pick it back up there. Alright, continuing on, I am using my hot wire cutter. I got this on Amazon for like 15 bucks. Works great. You can see I glued up a bunch of these on this scrap piece of foam. And what I'm going to do is very gently, very carefully, I'm just going to start cutting out each piece of wood, and I'm just gently dragging along the edge of the wood And where there's a little bit of glue that seeped out from the edge, a hot wire will cut that too. You just gotta work through it a little bit harder. And the trick is to do this gently and not be in a hurry. There's one side. Try to make sure I keep turning the camera here. You notice I kind of have to use this like gentle sawing action with the wire, and it seems like that works a little bit better. I think the foam actually cools the wire a little bit, so I'm just kind of staying on a hot part of the wire. At least that's my theory. But as you can see, this doesn't take any time at all, and pretty clean. It doesn't really smell or anything. You know, you're heating and cutting just such a small cross section with that tiny wire. All right, shut that off. So now, if I'm lucky, so because we just traced that wood size, it fits right in the car. Now, you know, you notice it went in a little tight, but that's okay, because we're going to be cleaning this up, and by the time we're all done, it'll drop right in there nice and easy, without any fussing trying to get it to fit nice. So anyway, let me go ahead and cut out the rest of these, and I'll show you what I do next. All right, so it's next day. I've got all these cut out, and what I'm going to do is take my hopper here, put the load in. I'm just going to take a pen and just sort of mark where the top of the car is. It gives me a little point of reference. There we go. Kind of see now where the top of the car is. So I'm going to take my hot wire now, and using that line as a guide, I'm just going to come in and kind of cut a little bit of a mound. You know, we've seen plenty of coal hoppers go by, and it's important to know that the way they're loaded, you know, they all look a little different depending on, was it loaded in a flood loader, was it loaded by wheel loaders, you know, maybe it was loaded completely by hand under a tipple. So you can kind of just see I sort of cut that profile of the line very grossly, and then I'm just gonna kind of rough a chamfer onto the side, just pulling the hot wire through it. There we go. pretty important at this step, just to leave it heavy, because you can carve off material real easy. It's hard to put it back on. So there's my very rough shape. You see, I put that in the car. It's already kind of starting to look right. Okay. We will continue on with the next step after I get, I think I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I got 8 I'm making at once here. So let me get the other 8 this far and we'll go from there. All right, so now I got this block rough wire cut. I'm going to take a Sureform tool and I'm just going to kind of smooth out the edges some more. And the trick with this is it's real easy to be too aggressive. So just real light, quick passes. You don't want it to be perfect. You want it to have some unique character. So only takes a second. Then once you got that, take some sandpaper, real nice, coarse sandpaper. And again, I'm just trying to get some naturally shaped humps. Okay. So there's my smoothed out, kind of naturally humped. So we'll take our car. Test fit or load, and I think that's going to look pretty good. But you can see I struggled to get it out of the car a little bit. So what we're going to do, I've got these little screws, short little screws, and I'm going to take that and screw it right in. Just takes a little pressure, a little twisting, and I want to get it where it's just kind of below the surface there, and it pokes out a little on the bottom. Sometimes I just file that off so we don't have an edge to snag your finger on. And then here's something I probably do a little bit different than people. Once I get here, I'm going to take, hopefully, I'm going to take my white glue, apply it liberally, and just use my finger to completely cover everything. And then I want to let it dry. And the reason I do this step, which some people will probably say is completely unnecessary, and maybe it is, but this will keep the foam from crumbling. This will give the load longevity and robustness for handling. And that's the same reason I do the wood bottom. You just make it out of foam, it'll crumble and deteriorate every time you touch it. But if you give it a hard candy shell, that should last a good long time. So there it is. So we'll just let that dry up for a few hours and go on to the next step. All right, so glue has dried, which is giving this kind of a nice hard shell now, not crumbly at all. And let's give it a quick hit here. And just that quick. We'll let that dry and we'll go to getting the actual coal on it. But honestly, you could almost stop here and it wouldn't be terrible. But we'll go ahead and really make it great. All right, let's let that dry. Okay, so got that painted black and dried out, and I just painted black so, you know, if anything shows through, you know, you're not seeing green foam. But we're just going to come back and do just like we did. I'm going to apply a liberal amount of white glue. I'm just going to use my finger to get a good even coverage here. And you know, it doesn't need to be thick, it just needs to be covered. I'll say well covered. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So, got everything all covered there in white glue. And I set it on something so it's not just laying on the paper, it's kind of propped up. And I do this on a piece of paper so I can recover things. But this is Woodland Scenics Mine Run Coal. And all I'm going to do is take and sprinkle this on. And they're just going to cover it. You know, I'm not going to worry about being neat. I'm not going to worry about an exact amount. What will stick will stick. And what won't stick, you know, we'll just shake it off and dump it back in the bag. One bag of this mine run coal is probably going to do 30-40 cars. You know, I don't know if I'll be able to get the camera down or not. Yeah, not really, huh? Anyway, there it is. We'll get a better look at it tomorrow once everything dries. I'll let that dry overnight. Alright, it's the next morning. I haven't touched anything here. So I'm going to just kind of pick this up. You can kind of see, you know, a little bit of coal falls off. That's okay. I'll actually run our finger over it, try to knock off anything that's loose. And then I have a jar that I keep the coal in. And we'll just take our paper, recover it. Okay. And remember, we made this on this piece of wood, you know, so it just fit in the car nice. So what we're going to do is, because, you know, we probably managed to glue a little coal to the side. We'll just very quickly. Run it over some sandpaper. And make sure we got the glue off. Usually only takes a second. All right, that's looking pretty good. And once we get here, just to kind of seal it in, because this is real cold, iron coal, and it will stay in your hands. And just kind of seal it together, we're just going to take some gloss clear. And, you know, we usually are always using, you know, matte finishes as model railroaders. But because this is coal, and you want it to have that sparkly shine, we're going to use the gloss. This is just Krylon. Works fine for this. Probably one can probably do all the cars you could ever stand to do. Okay, so we'll give that a dry and we'll see what it looks like when we're done. Okay, here's the finished load. You can see it still has all its sparkle. Has a unique shape to it. We've got that embedded screw in there, and because layers of glue and the clear coat, this is a very durable load. It should last me a good long time. So here it is. We'll take it and drop it in the car. Looks like a pretty convincing load to me. And magnetic removable. So a lot of fun building these. Doesn't take very long, and kind of fun trying to make you know, every one of them just a little bit different. Hope this helps some people. See you guys next time.
That one trunk would probably...
There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. We found the coal!